So how do you improve your sales onboarding program over time? Imagine this scenario. Imagine you're in complete scale-up mode right now. In fact, I bet most of you don't even have to imagine that. You probably are in scale-up mode right now. But imagine whatever your ramp time is. Imagine your VP of sales walks into the office and says, hey, I know right now, currently our ramp time takes X number of months. I need you to cut that in half, just like that. Where would you even start? How would you even know where to start? What would you do in your sales onboarding program differently? And what areas of your sales onboard program would you need to start to tweak? And how do you measure that? Where would you even start from there? So imagine having a framework that you can actually test and iterate your onboarding to figure out what's working, what's not, what tweaks you need to make, and do that quickly to ultimately be able to ramp new people more efficiently, faster, and better. And this will drive the metric everyone wants to talk about, which is what this VP asked, reducing ultimate ramp time. There's a great customer that I have the honor of working with. They're always onboarding a ton of people. And what they decided to do is actually start doing some A/B testing, where they were running multiple programs simultaneously of different cohorts to try to figure out what was working, what was not, or what was working better within programs such that they could ultimately come up with the magic program that started to drive the metrics they were driving. So right now, what I want to do is walk you through a framework to give you a good sense of what you can do today to start figuring out how exactly to start iterating and making your program that much more effective. We call this framework the sales onboarding optimization loop. So here's how it works. I'm going to call, here we go, sales onboarding optimization loop. And what we've got here is we start over here with, think of a big circle. This is your launch point. And this is where you want to just launch whatever your first program is. It could be what you have now, it could be a variation of what you're doing with a cohort of people that are currently being onboarded. The next thing you want to do, and the whole point of that is really to benchmark your onboarding data. The second thing you want to do, draw this circle here, is you want to measure that program. So what milestones, what metrics were you tracking within that program? And we've given some other content on how to do that. And then what type of training was happening within that program and tracking that as well. And this whole thing is, if I continue along here, I'm going to draw the third circle here is the feedback piece, which is just getting feedback from managers on how it's working. How are they seeing and measuring the reps that they're in this program? Are they actually progressing towards these milestones and these outcomes that you actually want them to drive towards? And then the final piece here is sort of this fourth circle. This is the optimization part. And this is the going back to the program and looking at the time to metrics. So if you've got benchmarks of hitting one metric and then you run a second program, this is the part where you optimize it. And then the whole idea here is in this optimization, you're reducing a bit of the time to whatever outcome you're trying to do. And I'm just going to add these arrows here because they all lead into each other. And then this final section here of the optimize kind of comes, think of it, I mean, again, full-fledged loop. So you're starting with the benchmarking, then you want to measure it, and then you want to get feedback from not even just the managers, but also the actual people that are in the program itself. Tie that now into the optimization part of it, and then we link it back to the launch and relaunch, because now that you've optimized it based on feedback and the metrics you've been tracking, you can now revisit the initial program you launched and take it through the exact same loop. So those are things you can start doing right away to actually be measured and iterating on the current onboarding program that you have. As sales enablers, as sales leaders, we're always talking about how sales teams need repetition and practice to get better at their job. Frankly, you could apply that to anything. A musician, an athlete, practice makes perfect. And it's no different when you're building onboarding programs. Don't just build one, set it, and forget it. How are you going to get better if you do things that way? What you need to do is run a program, run another one, have them completely measurable so you can compare them, A/B test them, such that you can shave off the right areas and make the improvements you need to make that program ultimately perform at its highest capacity. Let's review. VP of sales walks into the office and says, hey, we're scaling, we got to cut onboarding in half. Where do we go from here? Just get going. Don't overthink it. Start it, launch your first program, and then the next piece of that is measure the key benchmarks that you have there. And from there, get feedback from both managers and the sales reps on how that onboarding is feeling, see how the metrics are actually being driven, and then optimize it, and then drive it all through the same process over and over again. Make sure you as enablers are applying the same practice and vigor to building your onboarding programs, same as how reps and leaders are practicing their craft of selling. Onboarding is so key in this. By following this framework of the sales onboarding optimization loop, you'll start seeing fast improvements in your onboarding, and all of your VPs will be loving you for how quickly people are getting up to speed. Any questions, feel free to reach out at any time. Feel free to leave a comment. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.